Sea lamprey, the invasive parasite that is killing our fish.
Close your eyes. Imagine the Great Lakes without all of our fish species. One of the major issues that we have in our Great Lakes has been thriving here for over 180 years. In the early 1800s, the very first sea lampreys were first observed in Lake Ontario. It wasn't until the early 1900s that they moved their way into Lake Michigan. Many people might not even know what they are, recognize the harm they do, or how they even got into the Great Lakes. The invasive species of the sea lamprey has many unfavorable effects on the Great Lakes, and even more on the fishing economy. The sea lamprey is a primitive, jawless fish native to the Atlantic Ocean. Lampreys are composed of cartilage, and they lack jaws. Their mouth is said to be a sucking disc, and they have a keen sense of smell, which they use to seek out prey. Their body is smooth and scaleless, with dorsal fins and no vertebrae. Sea lampreys use their mouth to suction or attach onto other fish. It remains there for up to a month, feeding on the fish's body fluids and blood. This usually kills the fish or leaves it so badly wounded that it eventually ends up dying. Niagara Falls. A large horseshoe-shaped waterfall served as a natural barrier between the Great Lakes and the Atlantic Ocean. This helped to keep the lamprey out. Ships needed a way to bypass the falls, so they came up with the idea of the Welland Canal. The construction of the Welland Canal, which is a man-made lock system, enables large boats and cargo ships to pass through. This took place in 1829. It led to the lamprey bypassing through in the early 1940s and invading all 5 of the freshwater lakes. The lamprey swam and passed through into the pristine waters of the Great Lakes. This was just the beginning of the vast problem that the people of the Great Lakes region would soon have to resolve. By 1938, when the Welland Canal's construction was completed, the lamprey had already invaded all 5 of the Great Lakes. First was Lake Ontario in 1835, then Erie, Michigan, Huron, and finally Superior in 1946. The population of many fish, including walleye and perch, were already dropping drastically because of the lamprey. This caused problems in the food chain. Bigger fish like salmon didn't have food to eat and were dying out. Only 1 out of 7 fish that were attacked by the invasive species survived.
A single lamprey can kill up to 40 pounds of fish in its lifetime. Not to mention, sea lamprey have no positive effects on the Great Lakes. They are problematic and extremely difficult, almost impossible to get rid of. Of the 5,747 streams and tributaries of the Great Lakes, 433 are known to produce lampreys. Of those 433 streams, only 250 of them are treated on a regular cycle by fisheries and weirs. The devastating impact of the lamprey did not hit hard until the 1950s, when they had to prompt serious management efforts such as investigations and lampricides. If left untreated, the lamprey would completely wipe out species of perch, walleye, and salmon. Over 40 million people rely on the Great Lakes for food. The more the lamprey attack, the fewer fish. This means that tourists will no longer come here to fish and bring in money from the surrounding states. Tourists who come have to spend money on boat licenses, fishing licenses, food, and other commodities. Without anglers coming, the amount of money brought in will be decreased drastically. There are many methods used to control and eliminate the sea lamprey population. One of the methods used to control the population of the invasive species is a lampricide called TFM. This kills the lamprey larvae in streams with little or no impact on other fish. TFM is the most widely used lampricide and acts psychologically to disrupt energy metabolism in larvae. Another method for controlling the population is barriers or weirs. Sea lamprey have limited jumping ability, so barriers function to block adult access to spawning habitat, reducing the amount that the sea lamprey can infest. Sea lamprey are quite costly to maintain, topping out over $8 million per year. As stated earlier, 40 million people depend on the Great Lakes for food and water. We cannot afford to have the lamprey take over and decrease the population of important fish species. Since the installation of barriers and weirs, the sea lamprey population has been reduced drastically. This is important because it shows that the TFM and lampricides are working well, and it is worth the cost. On the positive side, fisheries who maintain and control sea lamprey provide many jobs to people all over the Great Lakes watershed. The sea lamprey took quite a toll on the citizens, Great Lakes, and of course the fish. Yes, the invasive species is still a problem area, but has been reduced. It is still being controlled by fisheries all around the Great Lakes watershed. Over the last 100 years, people's efforts to decrease the species inhabitant have helped drastically. Mechanical weirs have been built, and lampricides called TFM have been used to control and eliminate the species. Hopefully, after many more years of the use of weirs and lampricides, the lamprey will completely die out and become extinct in the Great Lakes.